Thanks to the grace of heaven, the virtues of our holy teachers, the mercy of our Lao Tianren and Qianren up in heaven, and thank you, master and lecturers and brothers and sisters, so that I can have another chance to share this topic, the selected readings of the Analects with you. And today is our third session on propriety and benevolence. And before I start, I would like to say Happy New Year to you, the year of rabbit. We know rabbit in Chinese, we say 兔, 兔子, 兔. So this year, the auspicious word all about two. So we can say, welcome to 2023. And together we learn, we cultivate, we preach, propagate, and practice Tao together, and wishing you peace, joy, good health, and improvement in your cultivation, and wish you can help more people to receive Tao. And for the selected readings from the Analects, we know we have 6 categories categorized by Tao Center, and we are on category number 2. And today is our third session on this category. Okay, let's go to today's first verse. The master said, those who are without virtue cannot abide long either in a condition of poverty and hardship or in a condition of enjoyment. The virtuous rest in virtue, the wise desire virtue. First of all, let us talk about what is Zhen. Now, in this verse, I translate Zhen into English word virtue, but actually, Zhen, we take a look here. Zhen is our conscience. Our conscience is our inherent virtue, our inherent goodness. Ren is the essence of our true nature. So there is no appropriate English counterpart for this word, Zhen. But in this category, I would translate Zhen into different English words. And for this verse, I translate it into virtue. And in this verse, Confucius encouraged people to follow their conscience. Why? Because if they cannot restore their true nature, they cannot follow their conscience, then they may do something wrong, either in favorable conditions or in adversary conditions. No matter the circumstances are favorable to them or unfavorable to them, they will do something wrong. Why? Confucius will tell us why. They will do something wrong. They cannot retain their moral integrity. So then, the essence of our true nature, if we can restore it, then we can we can be unmovable, unshakable. We can be firm. We can be perseverant and very stable. Okay, let's take a look how Confucius taught us. Confucius said, a man without Zen cannot live long in poverty. Why? Because let's take a look here. A virtueless man cannot live in poverty for long, as he may get ruined either by abandoning himself to despair, like a person who is not virtuous and who also is very poor, without much money for a very long time. And it's so-called like a loser, okay? So if he stay in this unfavorable condition, and eventually he will lose hope. He will think, I'm useless. I don't have hope. My future is dark, full of darkness. So he may abandon himself to despair, give up on oneself, lose self-confidence and hope. And why? And then he might like running risks in doing evil things in order to get out of the plight, like to rob money, to steal money. This is a very bad choice, but some people will do that because of poverty. He will struggle to win in the wrong way. So here, those who suffer from hunger and cold may be tempted to steal. And those who are always faced with adversities may be prejudiced and sarcastic. Like if for people who are always being insulted or bullied, and they may whenever they see people, they might think this person is going to hurt me. So he is prejudiced and biased. So his thinking, his thoughts, his words may be prejudiced and sarcastic. So a person without Zhen, without restoring one's true nature, just might do this. So that's why Confucius say a virtuous man, a person without Zhen cannot stay long in poverty. And in the same way, if a person does not restore his true nature, and he happened to live in a very rich environment, he have a lot of money, what will happen to him? What will happen to him? He is virtueless, but he has a lot of money. What will happen to him? Will he use the money wisely? Will he use the money to help the poor people? No, because he is virtuous. So he cannot live in affluence. Why? Because he will enjoy pleasures. He will be lost in his sensual pleasures. He will become overindulgent, and then he will degenerate. So those who are well-fed and well-clad are inclined to be extravagant and dissipated. But if a person is virtuous and he happens to have a lot of money, then he will use the money like to do a lot of donations to help with the propagation of Tao, to help those people who are in need of food or clothes. He will not use the money to enjoy for his own enjoyment. See? And if a person is virtuous and he happened to be very poor, he will retain his moral integrity. He will do nothing wrong. Even though he just have very simple food, like Confucius' disciple Yanhui Fuzi. Only very simple food, only water and very simple food to eat, and very humble house to live in. But he was very, very happy. He doesn't have any thought of to take money from people in an illegal way, in a wrong way. So virtue is very important. If we have virtue, no matter we are poor or rich, we will do the right thing. And if a person is virtueless, no matter he is poor or rich, he would do the wrong thing. Okay. And then Confucius said, the virtuous rest in virtue, the wise desire virtue. Okay, this is okay, this is the same verse. Okay, we have talked about those who are without virtue cannot abide long, either in condition of poverty and hardship, or in a condition of enjoyment. And then Confucius say, the virtuous rest in virtue, the wise desire virtue. And what does rest in virtue mean? Okay, let's look at the explanation here. 安忍 The virtuous people quietly do what is good. They rest in virtue because they have restored their intrinsic nature and found their inner peace. So because they have found their inner peace, so they peacefully do the good things. No matter what difficulties they may encounter, or whether unfavorable or favorable circumstances they are in, they won't change. They won't change their mind. They won't change their goal. And they just do good deeds out of their true nature, because they know doing good deeds is a natural part of their everyday life. They don't need to be forced. They don't even need to think about doing the good deeds will benefit myself. By doing the good deeds, God will reward me. They don't even have to think about that. They're just doing the good deeds out of their true nature, so peacefully. It's a natural part of their everyday life. So this is what Confucius wants to tell us. The virtuous rest in virtue. What does the word rest mean? Rest means so relaxed. We don't have to struggle. We feel so peaceful. We feel inner peace. 仁者安人. And what the wise desire virtue. And what's the difference of between the wise and the virtuous? The wise desire virtue because here, doing benevolent deeds because they know that by doing so, they can benefit the world and themselves as well. The wise person knows what is beneficial to myself and beneficial to the world. And because it is very beneficial, so we must do it. Like we know now the world is so chaotic. The world, so many disasters, man-made disasters, natural calamities. And we know only by preaching Tao and saving more people, we can help the world become better. So we know we preach Tao, we help more people to receive Tao, we can better the world. We know the benefit, so we will do everything. We will put in effort, like all of us. Why we are learning English? Because we learn English, we hope that we can help more people in the world to share the heavenly grace. We know the benefit, that's why we do it. So from this perspective, all of us, we are wise. We know what we are doing because it's beneficial to ourselves and to the world too. So the wise have lofty aspiration to accomplish. They want to accomplish something great, like to help with the lost salvation, and will do their best to establish merits and virtues. So you might wonder, then the virtuous rest in virtue and the wise desire virtue. So the virtuous and the wise are different people. You might wonder, the virtuous people are not wise and the wise people are not virtuous. We might think maybe Confucius is want to let us know this difference between the virtuous and the wise. But on the contrary, Confucius wants us to know, usually the virtuous ones are the wise ones. It's just Confucius want to elaborate more about doing good deeds. So from the perspective of our true nature, our inner goodness, we will do our good deeds naturally. And from the perspective of our wisdom, we know what is right, what is beneficial, and we will do good deeds wisely. But actually, what Confucius are elaborating are virtues, are qualities inside of our true nature. inside of our true nature, we are virtuous as well as wise. So Confucius said, we review this first. Those who are without virtue cannot abide long either in condition of poverty and hardship, or in the condition of enjoyment. And the virtuous rest in virtue, the wise desire virtue. In this verse, Confucius encourages people to follow their conscience, 人, so that they can retain their moral integrity despite favorable circumstances or adversity. And the most important is the last one. The saints and sages who have restored their true nature are not only virtuous, but also wise. So virtue and wisdom, 仁 and 智, are two main qualities in our true nature. And from our benevolence, from our 仁, we will do good deeds naturally. And from our wisdom, we know what to do is right, what to do is beneficial. We will do good deeds wisely. And for saints and sages who have restored their true nature, they are 仁 and 智. That's why I believe in the book of Mencius, one of Confucius' disciples praised Confucius by saying, 夫子既仁且智, by saying Confucius is virtuous and wise. Okay, the next verse, Confucius said, the master said, it is only the truly virtuous who know how to like or dislike people in a just and selfless way. Virtuous men like or dislike others based on personal feelings of gratitude or resentment. For example, he will think, now you treat me so nice, so I treat you nice. You are nice to me, then I will be nice to you. But you don't treat me well, so I hate you. So for this kind of people, to love or to hate are based on his personal feelings. You might think, is there anything wrong for these people? People treat him nice, of course, he needs to repay the grace. And people treat him wrongly, of course, he don't like this kind of people, and there's nothing wrong. We might think it's nothing wrong, but okay, for ordinary people, it seems nothing wrong. But for Confucius want his disciples to advance, to saints and sages, to be a 君子, to be a saint or a sage, not just stay at the level of ordinary people. Ordinary people are based on their duality. Like, you treat me good, I treat you good. You treat me wrong, then I will do the same. So, but for Bodhisattva, do you think, is there a Bodhisattva who will hate somebody? Allow me to say Chinese. 你认为菩萨会恨人吗? Do you think a Bodhisattva will hate somebody? No matter what people do anything wrong to him or to this Bodhisattva, Bodhisattva would never hate anyone. And we are emulate. To cultivate Tao, we are emulating Bodhisattva. We are practice the way of Bodhisattva. So we need to transcend the confinement of duality. So that's why Confucius said, only the truly virtuous who know how to like or dislike in a just and selfless way, not based on personal feeling. People of perfect virtue will like or dislike in a selfless way. He won't do that out of his personal taste or selfish purpose. Let me just give you an example, like a boss or a leader of a group or a boss. If the boss promotes an employee based on the employee's good characters, trustworthiness, and competency, then the boss is fair and just. But if the boss decision to promote an employee or not is based on the boss' personal feeling, like I like this employee or not, based on his personal like or dislike, then the boss is not a virtuous man. He may make the wrong decision because the employee may flatter him, may bribe him, may do some personal favor to him. And then he promotes this employee only because he is good at flattering the boss. But actually this employee is not competent at all, not trustworthy, have no good characters. But the boss like him. Then the boss is not just, not fair. So the master said, only the truly virtuous who know how to like or dislike in a just and selfless way. Because this truly virtuous person already let go of his ego, and he will make decisions like I will promote this one because he is good to the greater good, the whole environment, the whole group. Okay, and not because he is good to me, to satisfy my personal desire, but because he is promoting him is good to everyone, good to the greater greater good. Okay, so such leader is a virtuous leader, a truly virtuous leader. Okay, and next verse, the master said, those who make it their goal to attain to Zhen will do nothing wicked. Now here in this verse, I don't translate Zhen into any English word. I just use transliteration because here this Zhen is a higher goal. If I translate it into virtues or benevolence, I think it's not good enough. So I keep the original word Zhen. Okay, 至于人, to make it one's goal to scale the height of Zhen, to be determined to reach moral perfection. We know Zhen is our inner intrinsic conscience, is our essence of our true nature. So if we can restore our true nature, then our cultivation is perfect. Then we reach moral perfection. But we know it is very hard. All of us are on the way to the same direction, to restore our true nature. However, we are on the way. We haven't reached our goal yet, but we cannot lose our goal. We have to make it very clear. This is the one and only goal. Make it their goal to attain to Zhen. Those who make it their goal to attain to Zhen will do nothing wicked. In this verse, Confucius points out that a person who pursues moral perfection will not do evil things. Will not do evil things. This word, this Chinese word, can be pronounced as or pronounced as wu. Okay, and so there are two pronunciations. If we pronounce this word as then it means wicked, evil things. So of course, those who make it their goal to attain to Zhen, of course, will do nothing wicked. All right. And if we pronounce this as wu, another explanation of wu, then it means to hate, to loathe, to hate, to loathe. So a person who pursues moral perfection will not hate anyone. This is a higher goal. Will not hate anyone. It's just like the last verse we have shared. Will a bodhisattva hate anyone? Here again, I use this one. Will a bodhisattva hate anyone? Because this verse, these words often are 老前人 often ask us, 菩萨有恨人的吗? In the past, when 老前人 was still with us, His Holiness often asked us, 菩萨有恨人的吗? Because 老前人 understood that cultivators, we are still on the way. We sometimes we encounter some unfavorable circumstances, and we encounter some injustice, and we will it's hard to avoid, to dislike, or even to hate. So Lao Chen always want us to do self-examination. Will a bodhisattva hate anyone? Then this verse is easy to understand if we have a higher goal to achieve Ren and make it the one and only goal. It's just like in the Platform Sutra, when 6th patriarch first met the 5th patriarch, and 6th patriarch report to the 5th patriarch, say, 唯求作佛，不求于物. My only goal is to attain Buddhahood and nothing more. My only one goal, the one and only goal, is to attain Buddhahood. Nothing else. Nothing related to money or high position or fame or fortune, nothing. Only Buddhahood. Okay, so if we can make it our goal to attain Zen, it's just like 6th patriarch. Only goal is to attain Buddhahood. And if we have this goal, then we will do nothing wicked. Or if we explain this as Wu, then we will not hate anyone, even though we encounter some injustice. We will not harbor hatred in our mind. Okay, and how can we do that? How can we do that? Because usually people encounter something wrong. It's really, really very hard to avoid hatred, developed inside of his mind. How can we do that? Through cultivation, of course. Through cultivation. I believe that many of us have the experience of on board an airplane. And when you look outside, so beautiful, then you take out your cell phone and then you take so many pictures above the clouds, flying above the clouds. We know when the sky are overcast with dark clouds, then soon it is going to rain, right? All the dark clouds eventually storm will come. All right. But if the airplane fly above the sky, above the clouds, we will find that above the clouds, the sky are always sunshiny. There's no rain. Maybe below it's raining cats and dogs, but above the clouds, there's always sunshiny sky. And that's why we need to cultivate. If we can cultivate ourselves better and better, we fly above the clouds of our emotions. We fly above the clouds of our resentments. Then we don't have hatred. Then we can practice the way of Bodhisattva. And that's why 修道办道, we need to cultivate plus propagate Tao. We cannot just propagate Tao alone. Without cultivation, then we may have so many trouble inside of our mind. But if we just cultivate it without propagation, we just cultivate Tao without propagating Tao, then we don't have enough merits, external merits, to repay our karmic debts. And then our karmic debts, our karmic debts will cause our will be the obstacles on the path of our cultivation, will hinder the improvement of our cultivation. So cultivation and propagation needs to go hand in hand. Cultivation is very important. If we don't cultivate, we'll be trapped in the dark clouds of our emotions, our resentment, and we will have a hatred inside. And in that case, what good does it bring to propagate Tao? See, so we need to cultivate and transcend the dark clouds of our negative feelings, and then we spread the Gospels, share the heavenly grace with all the people. Okay, and the next verse. Okay, next verse. Confucius said, "I have never met men who love Zen, or men who hate Zhen." So here you find that I create a new word, Zhen. Well, it's not formal translation for 不仁. You see, the Chinese is 不仁, but I don't think there is a good English word for 不仁. There's no good English counterpart for 不仁, so I just translate it temporarily. For the time being, I translate as 恩人. I think you know what I mean. It's just contradictory to Zen. Confucius said, "I have never met men who love Zen, or men who hate 不仁, 恩人. And those who love Zen will consider it as the most precious treasure." Of course, if you love something or someone, you will think the someone is most precious. You will think this something is most precious. And if you love Zen, love your inner intrinsic, the essence of your true nature, if you love to restore your true nature, if you love Zen, you will consider it as the most precious treasure. And as those who hate 不仁, pronounce it as 不仁好了, as those who hate 不仁, naturally they would practice Zen in such a way that they would not allow anything against Zen to affect them. You see, hate is a strong word. If someone who hates 不仁, of course, he would not allow anything related to 不仁, related to him. He will practice Zen in such a way, would not allow anything against Zen to influence him. Okay, and Confucius also say, "Is there anyone who can exert a whole day's effort to practice Zen? Is there anyone who can exert a whole day's effort?" I have seen someone who spent a whole day smoking. One of my neighbors, he always smoking. I count how many times, like within 1 hour, he will smoke 3 cigarettes, and hour after hour, whole day long, even during midnight, he will smoke, because when he smokes, he will let the smoke out of the window, and then I can smell it. So I know my neighbor is smoking all day long. But Confucius said, "Is there anyone who can exert a whole day effort to practice Zen, to cultivate Zen? Is there anyone who can do that?" If someone who can do that spend a whole day effort to practice Zen, Confucius said, "I have never seen one who lacks sufficient strength." Then everyone will be capable to do that. No one will say, "Oh, I'm too tired. I am so weak. I cannot practice Zen for a whole day. I need to take a rest." Confucius said, no. If someone who can exert a whole day's effort to practice Zen, I have never seen one who lacks sufficient strength. But Confucius is very You say in Chinese we say 客气. It's not so subjective. It's very like objective. So he said, maybe there are some, but I have not yet met one. Maybe there are some people who lack the strength, but I have never met one. Okay, let's study this verse into a deeper level. We talk about 人. Okay, let's see what's the meaning of 人. If we look it up in a Chinese dictionary, 人 has two meanings. The first meaning is good virtues, very magnanimous, charitable, kind, and good virtues. Or some people just translate 人 as benevolence. Okay, so 人 is the virtue of generosity, kindness, compassion, etc. Very good virtue inside of people's mind, 人. And another meaning of 人 is the kernel in the nuts. The kernel in the nuts. The kernel is the most nutritious part of a nut that is inside the shell and can sprout and grow. So 人 within the seed is very, very nutritious. Like the kernel of peanuts, the kernel of cashews. It's very delicious because very nutritious. So 人, the kernel, English kernel, is the most nutritious part of a nut that is inside the shell and can sprout and grow. And also kernel has the meaning, means the most important part of something, although it might not always be easy to find. Very important part, very central part of something, but it's not easy to find. So we combine these two, the virtue, the benevolence, generosity, kindness, compassion, combine this explanation with the explanation of kernel, then we finally understand. This is the kernel of peanuts. Very nutritious. After cooking, very delicious. And this kernel can sprout and grow into a plant. And let's combine these two together. Just like then, the kernel. Then is the most nutritious part of a nut. The kernel is the most nutritious part of a nut and can sprout and grow. 这个人 means the 人 in humans' mind. 人 is the essence of our true nature and the summation of all virtues. Because 人 is the summation of all virtues, so we cannot use a single word, a single English word to translate it. So it's the summation of all virtues, and so it is most nutritious part of our mind. You see, we as human beings, everybody has their mind. And inside of our mind, we have positive feelings, positive thoughts, as well as negative feelings, negative thoughts. And through cultivation, we will get rid of all the negative emotions, negative thoughts, and we will preserve our positive feeling, positive thoughts, positive part of our mind. And after receiving Tao, we know how to cultivate. We know where is our true nature. So we can go directly to contemplate on our true nature and to restore our true nature. Then we can discover the most nutritious, of course, nutritious is a word for food. We can discover the most precious, the most virtuous part of our mind, and that is the essence of our true nature, and that is 人. Okay. So 人 is the most virtuous part of our mind. So comprehending 人 can better oneself internally, and while manifesting 人 can benefit others externally. So comprehending 人可以内圣外王，可以 better oneself internally, internal virtues, and manifesting 人 can benefit the external world, 外王外公. Okay, it's just like the kernel for the plant, the most nutritious part. The 人 in our mind is the most virtuous part, and the kernel for the plant can sprout and grow. And the 人 in our mind, inside ourselves, can better our internal cultivation and promote our outer propagation, external merits. Okay, so actually in the nature, we can learn a lot of things through observation of the nature, because the nature is created by 老母, by Almighty God. So my Almighty God created the nature according to Tao. So in cultivating Tao, actually by observing the nature, we can learn a lot. And Confucius continued to expound, 好人者无以上之. Those who love 人 would consider it as the most precious treasure. Of course, the essence of our true nature is the most valuable asset in life, because this physical body eventually will pass away and everything will be gone. Only the essence of our true nature will stay. And it is also the most valuable asset in life, because the essence of our true nature, 人, is the summation of all virtues. So to restore one's true nature and help others to do so is the ultimate goal of life. So 无以上之 means consider 人 as the most treasure. So of course, to restore this treasure is the ultimate goal of life. No other goal can be placed above this goal. This is the highest goal, the ultimate goal. No other goal can be placed above this. No, like 六祖 Six Patriarchs said, 唯求作佛，不求于物. And Confucius said, 好人者无以上之. Actually mean the same thing. And Confucius continued to expound. Then 恶不仁者, as for those who hate 不仁, naturally they would practice 仁 in such a way that they would not allow anything against 仁 to affect them, because they hate 不仁. Like if you like yourself, your clothes, your environment to be very, very clean, there may be a single dust is unbearable to you. You cannot bear a single dust on your table, that you need to wipe it so clean because you hate dust. Then you cannot allow any single particle of dust to stay like on your table or what. And for people who hate 不仁, naturally, he would not allow anything 不仁 to contaminate his mind or his behavior. So he would not allow anything against them to affect him. So they would cultivate carefully and mindfully. They would always do self-examination, just like the plum blossom on the slide. The plum blossom is so white, so pure. And for people who hate 不仁, he really cannot allow any negative thought, negative words, negative behavior, negative deed from himself. So he will cultivate carefully and mindfully and always do self-examination. So you can see in this verse, Confucius describes them in different ways. And saying 好人, 好人 means think Zen is most treasurable, most precious. Of course, he would place Zen as the highest goal. He would pursue Zen with his whole strength. And for people who 恶不仁, who hate 不仁, he will not allow anything against 不仁 to be done by himself. He would always do self-examination. Now, I would like to tell you a story about how a cultivator insisted on practicing Zen. I believe this is someone who really hates 不仁, who really hated 不仁, so he practiced Zen. It is a very touching story. Here, the story goes like this. Traditionally, ancient cultivators practice in solitude in a cave. In the past, now it's the universal propagation of Tao. So all of us are very busy. We have so many gatherings, activities, so many classes, so many lectures. But in the past, the Tao was transmitted on a one-to-one basis. And in the past, it's difficult for people to meet an enlightening teacher with heavenly decree. But still, there are so many people who want to cultivate. So usually they will practice they will seek their truth through solid practice in solitude in the cave. Okay, so there was a young monk decided to cultivate, and he looked for a suitable cave for his cultivation. And he quickly found one after a long search, and he cleaned it up because he was so young. So it's easy for him to do this hard work to clean a cave. But when he was ready to start cultivation, an old monk entered the cave and said, "Young man, you are so young and you have a lot of time to cultivate. I'm so old that I need to hurry up with my cultivation. Could you please let me have this cave?" And the young monk thought about it and decided to let the old man have the cave. Because we all know that to give is more blessed than to take, okay? So to help someone always is an act of virtue. So the young man quickly decided to let the old man have the cave. And the young man continued searching for a cave with time and effort. He found another one. Very soon he found another one because he was very young. So he was very efficient in doing such things. And then a disabled man entered the well-cleaned cave and said, "You are still young and strong. You are young and strong enough to search for a new one. I have difficulties walking and my arms are so weak. Can I have this cave, please?" And the young man was reluctant. He thought, it's not fair. But however, because he is a cultivator, he needs to cultivate his virtue. He insists on practicing Zen. He needs to help someone who is in need. So he helped the disabled man. He let the disabled man take the cave, okay? And as years went by, the young man would look for a new cave. And whenever he found a cave, And someone would always ask for it after he found one. And after he get it prepared, ready, and someone would say, give it to me, please. And eventually the young man grew older and older. And he finally found a cave. Now he is very old. He finally found a cave he really liked. He can cultivate in solitude, so quiet. Nobody will come to disturb him. So he settled down. When he settled down, a young man came in and said, now, you are an old man. There isn't much time for you to cultivate and attain your goal. I am still young and I have a better chance of being successful in my cultivation. Why not let me have this cave? What would you do if you were the old cultivator? What would you do? He spent his whole life to look for a cave. Whenever he found one and got it ready, and someone would take it from him. And now he's old. Finally he found a perfect one. And the young man said, you're old. You don't have much time. Why not leave it to me? Because I have a better chance. I'm still young. It's so unfair. But the old monk thought, I'm too old and weak. I cannot look for another cave. I'm too old to do that. He thought. He did not say. I would say for him, how can you be so cruel to me? He would cry out, how can you be so cruel to me? You don't have mercy at all. How can you do this to me? Look at me. I spent my whole life looking for a cave. And so many people take it from me whenever I got it ready. Now I'm old and I'm dying. And you were young and you want to take it from me because you look down upon me. You thought an old monk has no chance to attain enlightenment. It's not fair. But he did not think in that way, you know. He insisted on practicing Ren. So he contemplated his situation and he contemplated his situation and he still decided to yield the cave to the young man, to let the young man take the cave. And then what happened next? As he was about to exit the cave, a golden Buddha appeared right before him and said, you have completed your cultivation. You can follow me. You have completed your cultivation for Zen. You can follow me. Because on the journey, if you have a single thought of selfishness, if you have a single deed of selfishness, you cannot come this far. So people may insult me. People might take advantage of us, but God will reward us. So we need to insist on something. We need to insist on some principle. And that principle is Zen. Without hatred, without resentment, without duality. We can think about our Lao Tianren's words. Is there a bodhisattva hate anyone? Will a bodhisattva hate anyone? Will a bodhisattva refuse to help anyone? So helping others succeed is really
forging one's own attainment. One becomes more selfless and magnanimous by placing others' needs first. And sometimes our sufferings make us feel that life is difficult. This is so-called, in Chinese, we say 受考了, 受考, 很大的考验. Sometimes our sufferings make us feel that life is difficult. The future looks bleak. There's no hope. And the intended results are nowhere to be found. However, insist on kindness, insist on helping others may lead us to what we would like to achieve by a route different from what we thought. Because heaven will reward us for our sacrifice. Normally, we will think we put in effort, no pain, no gain. We put in effort. We will harvest what we planted, right? We will harvest what we planted. Normally, you put in effort, you look for, like in the past, you look for a cave to cultivate and you get it ready and you cultivate with the whole might and with fully concentration, and then very quickly you will attain enlightenment. Normally it's that way. But what about some people? We will harvest what we planted, but some people just take your harvest. When you are about to harvest, they just take your harvest from you. They take all your opportunity from you. And you just feel it's not fair. It's injustice, but you can do nothing about it. And then you start to hate, start to be resentful. But for a true cultivator, he would insist on practicing Ren, and heaven will reward him for his sacrifice. And his cultivation, his sacrifice will lead him to what he would like to achieve by a different route, different from what he imagined before. And besides, cultivation can never be completed without Wu Wei, right? Cultivation can never be completed without compassion, without selflessness. So if the cultivator is so selfish and cannot yield the cave, cannot do beneficial deeds to anyone, and just harbor all the selfishness, egos, a very strong ego, self-centeredness, do you think he will attain any enlightenment? No, his cultivation won't be successful. So this story is actually, when I was preparing, I was really, really touched by the monk's insistence on practicing Ren, and eventually Buddha came to reward him. And Confucius, still in this verse, Confucius continued to expound. Is there anyone who can exert a whole day's effort to practice Zen? I have never seen one who lacks sufficient strength. So the first point is Zen is our intrinsic virtue, our intrinsic conscience. So to search for someone intrinsically, how can we say that we lack sufficient strength, right? So intrinsic true nature is Zen is our intrinsic true nature. So to search something internally, if we say we cannot make it, then it's lacking effort, it's not lacking ability. if we need to search someone outside, maybe like in the past, searching for a cave, maybe when we're too old, we cannot walk a long distance to search for a cave. But if we want to look inwardly, to search inside for our intrinsic true nature, our intrinsic Ren, if we say that I am lacking strength, then we are making excuse. If we say I cannot do it, then it is because lacking effort, not lacking ability. That's why Confucius said, is there anyone who can exert a whole day's effort to practice Zen? I have never seen one who lacks sufficient strength, because nobody will lack sufficient strength to search inside. It's right within us. And why Confucius emphasized one day? Because as a saying goes, if you read Chinese, this is a very famous saying. 一日修来一日功，一日不修一日空. One day's cultivation has one day's merit. One day's idleness results in one day passed in vain. So we don't have to think about, oh, my whole life I need to cultivate, what a long journey. We just think just for today, okay? Just for today. We set our goal for one day's cultivation first. Just today, from morning and to the night before going to bed today. And then we'll find it easier to accomplish because it's just for today. And then day after day. There's a saying in Great Learning, the Sutra Great Learning, 苟日新，日日新，又日新. If you renew yourself for one day, you can renew yourself daily and then continue to do so. So just take one day as a unit, and then one unit completed, and then another unit, and then day after day, then you can, then eventually practicing Ren will become your habit. You will never forget to practice it. So this, no one will lack sufficient strength. And this one concept of one day is very inspiring. Okay, review for this verse. This is a long verse. The master said, I have never met men who love Zen or men who hate Buren. Confucius said, these kind of people are very, very rare. And I hope that all of us are people who love Zen and people who hate Buren. Those who love Zen will consider it as the most precious treasure. If you love something or someone, you will consider this someone or something as most precious, right? So if we love Zen, we will consider Zen is most precious, much more precious than money or jewelry or fame or fortune, the most precious. As for those who hate Buren, naturally, they will practice Zen in such a way that they would not allow anything against Zen to affect them. They cannot bear to that any single thought of Buddhism to make himself dirty, to be affected by this the thought of Buddhism. So he would do self-examination frequently. And then Confucius continued to expound, is there anyone who can exert a whole day's effort to practice Zen? I have never seen one who lacks sufficient strength. Because just take one day as a unit, very, very short. So you will find this easier. And also, Zen is our intrinsic true nature, the essence of our intrinsic true nature. So if we want to search inwardly, no one can say that we lack strength to search inwardly. Okay, so but Confucius still very 客气, still Confucius said, maybe there are some, but I have never yet met one. But actually, the last verse the last sentence is, no one is lacking such strength. No one. Everybody can do it. Okay, next verse. The master said, the wise find pleasure in waters. The benevolent take delight in mountains. Now we are talking about mountains and waters, talking about benevolence and wisdom. So in this verse, I translate Ren as benevolence. I found here, I would like to translate it as benevolence instead of talking about Ren. Because here, in this verse, Ren is more specifically referring to benevolence. Okay, so Confucius said that wise people will find pleasure in waters, and the benevolent people will take delight in mountains. And the wise people are active, and the benevolent people are tranquil. And the wise people are joyful, and the benevolent people are long-lived. You may find this verse really not easy to understand, but if we study it, and we will find it's very inspiring, very inspiring. There are many virtuous qualities inherent in our true nature. Okay, so our true nature has all kinds of good qualities, or like 5 cardinal virtues, like the 8 virtues, all kinds of virtues. And benevolence and wisdom are 2 main qualities. Okay, and from the perspective of brightness and clarity, our true nature has brightness and clarity. No one can deny that. We know our true nature has spiritual light, so it's bright. And our true nature is so pure, so it's clear. No one can deny that. So from the perspective of brightness and clarity, being energetic and upbeat, our true nature is energetic and upbeat. And from this perspective, one's true nature has great wisdom, because brightness and clarity and energetic and upbeat are characteristic of waters, okay? And from the perspective of being vast and profound, being stable and tranquil and immovable, our true nature also vast and profound, stable, tranquil, and immovable. From this perspective, our true nature has benevolence. And being vast, profound, stable, tranquil, and immovable, all these are characteristics of mountains. And how do these qualities describe benevolence? Why we use the characteristics of mountains to describe benevolence? Why? Because, now let's read the second point. Why a person is benevolent. A person is benevolent because he is not easy to be agitated. He is not easy to get angry. He is always peaceful and good-tempered. And this kind of person is forgiving, is kind, is benevolent, because he is not easy to be agitated. So he's stable, tranquil, immovable. So that's why Confucius relates benevolence to mountains, because mountains are stable, tranquil, and immovable. And people have this good quality, stable, tranquil, and immovable. will not easy to be agitated or get angry. So that this kind of people are peaceful and good-tempered and forgiving and benevolent. So it's easy to relate benevolence to mountains and wisdom to water, right? And then Confucius continued to expound. The wise are joyful. The wise are joyful. Why is it? Because joyful is the contradictory word to joy, to being joyful is unhappy, right? And why is a person unhappy? Because inside of this person's mind, there are obstacles, there are burdens. So this person's heart is troubled. That's why this person is unhappy. And a wise person has no obstacle in mind, has no obstacles, no burdens. So wise people is happy because there is no burden inside. All right, the wise are joyful. Okay, and Confucius continued to expound. The benevolent are long-lived. Talking about longevity, I believe that it is, of course, longevity should go hand in hand with health, good health. If longevity with bad health, poor health, then this kind of longevity is not good. Okay, and the benevolent are long-lived and healthy, actually, and healthy. And why? Because kindness is good for the body and mind. A kind person tends to be healthier and live longer. And we have scientific proof. See, Confucius in the past, like 2,500 years ago, Confucius already knew that but the benevolent are long-lived. But nowadays we have scientific proof that benevolent are long-lived. Okay, I will share with you scientific proof of the beauty of kindness. Kindness does not mean behaviors only. Kindness means embracing a spirit of helpfulness. Help. You are always ready to help. And why you are ready to help? Because you are kind. You cannot bear to see other people suffer. So you are always ready to help. You are broad-minded. And this quality is kindness. It means embracing a spirit of helpfulness, as well as being generous and considerate, and doing so without, very important, without expecting anything in return. And the act of kindness is often simple, free, positive, and healthy. Simple, free, positive, and healthy. It doesn't take a lot of money. We don't need to be very rich or very powerful or have a very high position or to be kind. The simple, random act of kindness, actually, everybody can do it every day. And people who are kind to others in a balanced way will tend to be healthier and live longer. What does it mean by to be kind to others in a balanced way? This balanced way is just one of our 10条大愿，量力而为，量力而为。To do according to do according to your ability. Do not do anything outside of your ability. If we help others within our ability, 量力而为. So, okay, kind to others in a balanced way. This kind of people will tend to be healthier and live longer. Kindness can increase our sense of connectivity. All these are scientific proof. Kindness can improve our sense of connectivity with people, which can directly alleviate loneliness, will improve our low mood. Okay, and kindness can decrease blood pressure. and decrease stress hormone. And being kind will boost good hormone like serotonin and dopamine. These good hormones are involved in lots of essential processes like heart rate, will help our heart rate to be normal, and will help our digestion to be smooth. Okay, and these hormones are famously known as happy hormones. They are hormones in the brain. They promote feelings of satisfaction and feelings of well-being and cause the pleasure, cause the reward centers in our brain to light up. And also endorphins. Endorphins are our body's natural painkiller, will be released through what? Through kindness. And all these are scientific proof, okay? But talking about longevity, this body, no matter how long we live, we cannot avoid physical death. This body eventually will pass away. So true longevity is, Lao Tzu said, those who die but do not perish have longevity. And what does this mean? The memory of the deceased lives on. It's the first meaning. Why? A true cultivator, a noble goal for a true cultivator is to live a meaningful life, filled with compassion, like our 老前人, 前人, and many senior, many Tao transmitting masters, many Tao seniors. They live a meaningful life filled with compassion of helping others. And such a life continues on forever in the hearts of people. They will be remembered, cherished, and missed. I believe that all of you missed your Master Lin very, very much, because her spirit continues on forever in your hearts, okay? So this is one meaning of 死不亡者寿, longevity. And another meaning, when he or she is remembered on earth, his or her soul goes back to heaven and attains eternal life. This is the true meaning of longevity and the ultimate meaning of 仁者寿. The people who are benevolent will live longer, will attain longevity. This is the true meaning of longevity. Okay, let's go to the summary for this verse. Again, the benevolence and wisdom goes hand in hand because they are two main qualities within our true nature. So those who are truly virtuous, those who are truly virtuous means those who have truly restored their true nature. Those who are truly virtuous or truly benevolent must be wise. Let's take a look at the nature. In the nature, mountains have been described as the water towers of the world. You see, almost all major rivers have their sources in mountains. And also, there are always mountains near the shore of a sea, near the shore of an ocean or a lake. So from the nature, we can learn that actually being tranquil and being energetic. Being tranquil means being benevolent, and being energetic and lively means being wise. Are manifestations of our true nature. They can coexist. So 仁 and 智, benevolence and wisdom, tranquility and energy and being energetic can coexist together. See, this is a picture I took in Canada when I took a trip there. See, there was mountains right adjacent to a beautiful lake, and this is the eastern coast of Taiwan. this Pacific Ocean, and right adjacent to Pacific Ocean, there was mountains. So I think this is the end. This is the end of this verse. Yes, the end of this verse. So I think I need to stop here. In the end, I would like to use this verse to encourage all of us. So a person who has restored his true nature will be benevolent and wise, will be not only benevolent, but also wise. And we are benevolent and wise. Whenever our circumstances are favorable to us or unfavorable to us, we will do right things. We will do good things. We will establish merits and virtues. And without benevolence and wisdom, without Zen and wisdom, no matter our circumstances are favorable or unfavorable to us, we will make mistakes. Okay, so cultivating Tao is very, very important. Okay, and today I have spent more, like 10 minutes more, because Judy told me that I can share something more today. So this is the end of my sharing. If I have made any mistakes, I beg for Buddha's forgiveness, and I hope master and lecturers and brothers and sisters to give me comments. And also because I have some other errands to run. So if you have any questions, I will take questions. If you don't have questions, I need to go after this sharing. Okay, and thank you all. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you.